There was a column in the Guardian newspaper a few days ago by Tim Etchells. Tim Etchells is a writer and theatre maker based here in the UK that I worked with briefly some years ago with his company Forced Entertainment. And this column that Tim writes, he's talking about the process of working with a theatre company, devising a piece of work through improvisation, and what it's like to have a group of performers working in space together and generating material, and how you would, as a kind of facilitator or a director, how you would go about working with that process. And he uses this interesting phrase. I think he says it's like shaping fog. I'm not sure about the word shaping, but certainly fog is in there. But there is a sense he's talking about when you're working dynamically with performers to generate material, a shaping fog. And I really like that. And I'm just wondering why I like it and why this substance fog feels right in that instance. It's reminded me of two other substances related to that, which have different kinds of properties, which for me point up the particularity of fogs and mists. The first is something quite similar, I think. It features in a short story by J.G. Ballard called The Cloud Sculptors of Coral D, which is a great story and a great collection of stories called Vermilion Sands that J.G. Ballard wrote a few years back. Just brilliant. I love J.G. Ballard's writing anyway. But The Cloud Sculptors of Coral D, as the name kind of suggests, one of the themes that runs through it is of these pilots that use kind of silver iodide seeding technology in their planes to shape clouds, and it becomes a tourist attraction. So you can make images out of the clouds. That's one of the things I've got going on there. So when I'm thinking about what Tim's saying about shaping fog in relation to improvised theatre, I'm thinking about The Cloud Sculptors of Coral D. The other reference I've got is an expression that you might use if there's a task that's particularly difficult, to the point of being impossible, which I really like this expression. People say it's like trying to plait piss. Like trying to plait piss. You're trying to make something organised and structured and interwoven and connected and resilient and robust and strong out of strands of material which are inherently dissipative and inherently the opposite of those things, really, the opposite of those qualities. So I'm just thinking about those two ideas, the idea of plaiting piss as a signifier for impossibility and futility, and sculpting clouds as a metaphor in J.G. Ballard for a certain kind of ephemeral creativity. I think the difference, well, there's many differences, but the difference I'm quite interested in is this difference in quality of substance. Clouds and fogs, the way that Tim Etchells uses the word fog as a metaphor for what kind of substantive material you're working within improvised theatre. Fogs and clouds and mists are aerosols, I think I might say, small droplets of liquid suspended in a medium of air or a medium of a gas. So you have these little atomistic entities, little globules of water, little tiny particles of fluid whirling around in some kind of Brownian motion within a space-filling medium like a gas, like air. And the task, if you're a cloud sculptor or if you're a kind of facilitator with an improvised theatre, is to kind of get inside of that Brownian motion and to allow the billows of wind that blow through that space to craft this substance into these ephemeral forms, like Polonius in Hamlet, I guess. So you have that. And then when you're trying to plait piss, that's not an aerosol. Piss is not an aerosol. Piss is a liquid, and it has a different kind of relationship to activities. You know, you can run your hand through a clouds and billows will form, and those billows will persist and will take on lives of their own, and they'll kind of roil and tumble and make eddies and currents. But if you run your hands through piss, you just get a wet hand and a unfortunate mess on the floor. So I think there's different kind of qualities going on there with that. And I think also mists and fogs and vapours and clouds have this other set of resonances to do with ephemerality, but to do with lightness and airiness, and an aspiration toward the aerial and towards the light and towards the towards the upper reaches of the atmosphere, whereas piss and liquids more generally are much more prey to the pullings and tuggings of gravity and find their own level, and the level is horizontal, and the level is where the water table is. I don't know if I've reached any kind of point of understanding with that. I guess I'm just trying to work through what the implications of these different substance metaphors are in that. I mean, it certainly feels about right that you know, when you are working creatively, it is much more like doing this with your hand through a fog and watching it roil. You know, some kind of just breathing on it and watching the substance react to your movements. It's very different to working with liquids, including piss. And it's certainly very different from trying to do something completely organised with piss, like trying to plait it. What's my dog got? What you got, Phoebes? That's just a stick, I think.